My name is David Levy. I'd like to thank you, first of all, for watching this making of. And this is the story behind Plug. We'll do very quickly, like a short presentation. And I'll be talking about the different cast members and also what went through the production and the good parts and the bad part, and of all the joy that I had to meet all the people that I met during that production. Just to start with, I just want to say that if you're expecting one of those super sharp and clean making of, this is not the case. Everything in that production from beginning to the end was more rock and roll. So to be along the same line, this making of is going to follow the same rules of rock and roll. So I hope you'll enjoy the ride. So Plug was the child that Atom and I created together. This is myself here in the desert, running like a paranoid crazy person. And Atom is the other crazy guy that's screaming and running around in the desert as well with a spotlight. So the two of us started that project almost 4 years ago now. And to be honest, at that time, we didn't have a very strong script yet. We didn't have any precise story. We knew that it was going to happen in the desert, there was going to be a female protagonist, and we knew that it was going to be science fiction, the things we love very. And don't ask me why I'm filming those hammers and cell phones. It was for tracking actually. But we did a battery of tests here, like slow motion for example. And all these tests were, I think, for us a way to gain confidence into filming. And while Atom and I were polishing the script as much as we could, with the knowledge that we had about writing, I would say that the two persons that really made a huge impact and a big difference into that project were Alex Cunningham on the left and Lex Cassar on the right. They basically became the two production designers on the project that would enable that project to take its wings. Thanks to their dedication, thanks to their motivation, they were able to put together a world, a universe, visually, that would become, thanks to their friendship and their ability to be so hard worker, working night and day, that's what allowed Plug to be where it is today. Thanks to their dynamism and their passion and their desire to learn, Plug was allowed to become where it is today, especially at the beginning when we started working on the first teaser. In many ways, the first teaser becomes our testbed for the rest of the production. We had some of the elements that had to be built, like the buggy and the helmet and the costume for Marker, which are two of the main characters of the story, if you want. And we had to really make sure that these were built in a way that would be solid enough and that could withstand the Palmdale desert, driving at 60 miles per hour in the desert. Without any visibility because we couldn't see anything through the helmet. You see that buggy? Before you can film it, you have to make sure that it runs. You see that weird look on my face? That's because I am not sure that buggy is reliable. You have to understand that we spent night and day over the weekends with Lex, Alex, Matt and myself and Atom, making sure that buggy looked cool. We had a rough design and we built it together, we put it together. We learned how to weld, we glued a lot of things, we sewed a jet ski in half and took the lower part of the jet ski to make the nose of that buggy. And there was a lot of love put in that buggy. If you see that video is going all the way through the night, and this was the day before the shoot. And thankfully, we did manage to finish that thing. But back to my worried look that you saw 2 minutes ago is because I had no clue if that buggy was going to run the day of the shoot. And for the most part of the day, he didn't run at all. But just enough. Yep, just enough for us to be able to make a short film.
That's a good start. It's raining. Here you go. You want to try it? Or
Scout model. State your serial number and malfunction.
So as you can see from this video, thankfully the Buggy did function. There were many other things though that we had to do for that teaser, and one of the first things that we did have to do was, of course, the helmets and costumes for the robots. Here we can see Alex Cunningham that's basically preparing a cast of one of the helmets. I remember very clearly that first cast was a complete failure. When we took it out of the mold, the thing magically collapsed in front of our eyes. So we had to do another cast, and Alex finally managed to get it to work and get the right mix.
Well, this is the helmet. It's 2 parts. Because of the cut line, we decided to do 2 color.
Okay, look at the black part though, at my head.
There's all electronics in there. Got a battery pack, that big lump there, I think he is. See ventilation, we have on the sides, we have 2 fans, we have a bunch of LEDs, and turn it on later.
Enemy locked. Drop your weapon. Enemy.
But of course there was not just one helmet to do, there were many more to build, so it took us a while to get everything going for the first 2 teasers and for the short.
so here we go. This is Thanksgiving weekend, and next week we're gonna shoot teaser 2. This is what we have this weekend. What do we have this weekend?
We have 2 versions of Scout. We have the Scout helmet that I'm working on right now to make it look like it's a little bit more beat up than this before he gets shot in the head. And then of course the one that we have from the first teaser where he's shot in the head and all beat up. So we'll be using both those this weekend. We've also got some energy cores that Alex is working on. There's a brief shot of them, so they're not exactly the most detailed prop we've ever done, but
Yeah,
they'll look good enough.
Work, but they're getting there.
It's all about indication
Yeah.
and matte black paint. But then we also got our buddy right here, Mr. Ray, the bad guy.
So in order to do all this production, this massive production, we had to move all our stuff into, thankfully, Hatem's family's garage. They were very nice enough to let us improvise a production office or an art department right outside their house for a little bit, for actually a few months. So I cannot thank them enough for having been so nice and friendly about making a mess out of their place.
So hello guys, as you can see, my private garage became the workshop number 2. Our initial workshop was over Lex's, and now it's all my bunch of stuff over there, and we had our own plug setup, right?
Very well organized, as we can see.
Yeah, it's totally organized. It's an organized, disorganized thing. And,
Hey Jake,
Yes, sir.
so what are we doing today?
God only knows. We are going from location to location, checking out, trying to find some place to have the chase between the buggy and the motorbike. And it needs to be wide enough that we can fit a camera car beside it. And it needs to be flat enough that filming is possible and the buggy can get over it. So we're visiting various locations up here in the high desert close to Palmdale.
So Jake,
Oh, what now?
how was it?
It was kind of like running at altitude without warming up. After a cigarette.
And indeed, altitude was one of the big issues we had to face, along with the weather and other difficulties, which was a really big deal for the actors, especially. They had to be in those costumes the whole day and act as well as they could. And indeed, Jake Lyle, Natalie Floyd and Lexosa were perfect in that position.
Yeah, exactly, and that's exactly, it's like a tipping point, you know? The guy is asking way too many questions, he's realizing that there's some, like the canisters and stuff like that, and then Ray is like, okay, that's enough now.
And I mean, that's the other thing too. We're up for the script, you know, changing, ad-lib lines, whatever it is. I mean, it's all ADR after anyways,
This
so.
is, I mean, you know, this is, it just raises questions.
Sir? Sir, how do you know this?
Bad machines, huh?
There's no bad machines, just bad programming.
Yeah, right. Speaking of bad programming, where's Marker?
I got involved with Plug through Betty May casting. JC Cantu casted, and yeah, I came in and he put me on tape, and then I met with David and everyone, and yeah.
Wait! Wait! Is that important to you? Good!
I loved it from the beginning, just from the sides. I got the sides, you know, that are taken out of the script. And the character itself, just reading the breakdown, and JC, you know, told me, you know, about it beforehand. And I mean, I was a really big Buffy nerd growing up, so this like kind of kick-ass, pardon my French, character has always been something I've wanted to play but never gotten a chance to. So that on its own, and then when I read the script, I was like, forget about it. Like, it's perfect.
No! Don't! What are you doing? I was just...
And then I saw the production design and what they were coming up with in the way of props and set and everything. Just totally sold me on it. Fell in love with the whole thing.
That tin can? Don't make me sick. What kind of shit have they been pumping you with? Sister, your people are people.
The people.
Theme-wise, Ray doesn't seem to be a particularly friendly robot. Ray has he has a problem with other robots, let's say. He has a problem with the world in general, I would grant him. He doesn't, he's fairly trigger happy, apparently. And there's a few surprises, obviously, but it may be justified, maybe not. Who knows?
Do you think he is, he feels isolated, or he feels lonely?
Absolutely. Ray is on his own.
Are you?
I guess my favorite element that drew me to Plug in the beginning, and still draws me to Plug, is this idea of that post-apocalyptic setting where humanity is always kind of teetering on this edge with technology. I think that's our big thing, is that technology is the greatest thing we've ever done, and it's also probably the worst thing we've ever done to ourselves. And we're always finding that balance between each other. You know, I mean, medical science is great, look what it's done for everybody, but then also take a look at military technology, what that's done for everybody. You know? And it's interesting to see with Plug, because there's a bit of a twist in the story, and we're not going to give it away, but that twist it's a good question to ask.
Layla, your parents are gone. They've all gone. Humans messed up the planet and they left.
No, not everyone. I'm still here.
Yes, and you're the exception.
I got involved with Plug on Christmas night. I got an email from Guillaume over at Paranoid. A friend of David and Hatem's was looking for somebody to come in and help produce. And so we met in January. We met over dinner. I had read the script, we talked a little bit further about the details, and I put together a budget, and they said, let's do it. So we got together and signed off on the budget, and here we are.
The chest, like the actually what? Yeah, no, it's this right here. Yeah, totally. So you just want to.
No. But you're careful. Yeah, that's good. That's better. That's better. Yes. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, that's perfect.
What do these buttons do?
I think it may be good water actually.
Can be on set.
I'd say the first thing that grabs me about the story is just the scope of it. There are so many different places that the story can go, and just in terms of this short, we are all over the place. We go to the desert and do a huge pursuit chase. I would say the thing that captured me the most about the story is just the scope of it. There are so many different environments in the film. You have a flashback scene that's kind of present day. You've got the futuristic robot bar where they're just hanging out, having drinks. And then you've got this big pursuit in the desert, and there's this big CG battle.
You big girl.
If anyone's, I don't want to give too much away, but I think audiences will really connect with, loneliness, and there's a great dynamic between Layla and Marker, the robot. They love each other as much as she loves him as much as she can love a machine, but he's just a machine. And it's sort of anyone who's had a relationship where they can't quite, tap into someone as much as they would love to, because everyone has their walls up, and he literally, is just an object.
Layla, are you okay? Come on, get up. Are you okay?
I call this part the VFX Battle because sincerely, after the shooting, I think no one realized how much VFX there was going to be. So I took all the techniques I could do. I shot videos with my cell phone. I used the concept art techniques I know, and I learned from scratch how to become a VFX supervisor because there was no team supporting us at that point. So one shot after the other, it took me probably around a year and a half, 2 years. With the help of Moon Tower VFX, a team of friends of mine in Austin, Texas, and Tori Alvarez, a VFX artist here in Los Angeles, in order to finish all the work that had been started. Also, especially the last few shots, that were added thanks to the help of my coworkers, Ben Proctor, Dylan Cole, Stephen Messing, friends that really helped me solidify some of the missing shots I should add, and some of the visual for those missing shots. Without them, it would have been impossible to finish the short film. Also, a big thank you to my wife, who was courageous enough to support me during the whole short film. The reason why I call the making of this short film Personal Apocalypse is because for the first time, I think, I had to face a challenge that I had never been trained for, especially when it comes to working on the VFX side of it. And I think the message I got after working on this project, the personal message I created for myself, was that like any apocalypse, after a destruction of something, after something has been pushed to a place that's very challenging, there is always a form of rebirth. And I think as an artist, it's exactly the same way, where you may face something that's unsurmountable, and then you go through it, and there is a rebirth of sort as an artist. Thank you, and I am looking forward to present you the next project.